The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, the 11th of March, episode 149 here on NOK Network, the video news podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys from Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario, for the awesome intro track, originally recorded by the Moody Blues, with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint host, Tara Simpson, along with the one and only Ufo Various, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Hello, Tara.
Well, hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. Great to be back after another week away. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran desert toad or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like great fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Don't lick that toad. Don't lick that toad at all. He is not. I mean, it's not that he's a bad toad. It's just, I mean, people shouldn't lick things just because, I mean, it's like licking the window.
Right. You don't know exactly what you're getting. Sustainable harvesting and, sanitary conditions is probably a better option.
I love it. It is so great to have you back here this week. We hung out with Ron McNabb last week, but now we got you back in there.
Yeah. I saw you and Ron did very, very well on both shows covering for me, so that was fantastic. I had to go to Florida for a big race weekend, and it was great to get away and have some fun in the sun, and lots of memories were made, and sunburns had, and gins and margaritas. It was a thing. It was a thing.
Did you get to experience any mushrooms out of where you normally wouldn't experience?
No, didn't have the opportunity available, and that was okay. I did find my cannabis. We were able to locate lots of that. I had 3 ounces to smoke while I was there. So,
nice.
It was all good. But yeah, no psychedelics were purchased in the state of Florida.
Well, next time you're in the U.S., we'll have to get you some mushrooms somehow.
Yeah. It wasn't really a place for tripping. I mean, when you're amongst race cars and high-powered noises, it wouldn't have been the right setting for a high dose of mushrooms. A microdose maybe, but not a high dose.
Speaking of mushrooms and whatnot, our first article comes right out of New Hampshire, right out of marijuanamoment.net. And it says New Hampshire lawmakers unanimously approved psilocybin decriminalization bill. And this is written by Ben Adlin. Ooh, look at them mushrooms. Right when the bill is cracking. Ah, man.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Those look like some giant penis envy, maybe. A House committee in New Hampshire has advanced a bill that would decriminalize use and possession of psilocybin. Members of the House Criminal Justice and Safety Committee voted unanimously 16-0 to pass the bill, HB 528, from Republican Kevin Verrill. Prior to moving the bill forward, the committee first adopted an amendment to temper the proposed reform. As originally introduced, it would have completely removed all penalties around obtaining, purchasing, transporting, possessing, or using psilocybin, effectively legalizing it on a non-commercial basis. The amendment version of the legislation imposed penalties, but were significantly lower than the state's current felony level prohibition. Under the new amendment, a first psilocybin offense would be a violation subject to a fine of $100 or less. Second or third offenses would be Class B misdemeanors carrying fines of $500 to $1,000 respectively, and also with no risk of jail time. Fourth and subsequent offenses would still be classified as felonies. Notably, language of the proposal does not include any specific limit to the amount of psilocybin a person could possess. The committee chair, Republican Terry Roy, said that while he opposes full legalization of psilocybin, he believes the drug has medical value and ought not be punished as a felony. I see it done through proper scientific channels, through university studies and the Department of Veterans Affairs, Roy explained. But having said that, I support this bill lowering it from a felony. We don't need more intoxicated people, but we also don't need more felons. And I would agree with that. I mean, you know.
Well, and it brings it back to, well, I'll keep my comments till the end. Action on the bill follows a committee hearing last month at which a member of the panel, Representative Kathleen Paquette, who is a Republican, discussed her lifelong struggle with intractable pain from cluster headaches, a condition the psychedelic is known to treat. I suffer from a chronic excruciating pain condition called trigeminum fasciitis. It's known as a cluster headache. They're called cluster headaches because they tend to cycle and come in clusters. He told colleagues that on the meeting, when I'm in the cycle, I have unbearable attacks of burning, piercing, stabbing pain in my eye. The pain is so violently severe that I cry, I rock, I pace, and I usually end up rolling around on the floor, clutching my head and sobbing. My nose runs, my eyes swells. It's not unusual for me to be vomiting. Psilocybin is believed to help people like me by potentially interrupting and preventing headache cycles. He continued, it is thought to reduce inflammation in the brain after pain perception and reset the neural pathways that interrupt these painful cycles. At most recent committee hearing on Friday, Representative David Moose, the Democrat, preferred Paquette's disclosure. We actually heard some pretty compelling testimony from one of our colleagues, he said, and I think it really, really, really helped. I think where I'm at on this is this particular change to the bill allows it to be more treated like cannabis from a penalty perspective and less like fentanyl, which I think is a good thing, even the therapeutic benefits. M said of the amended version of HB 528. It also gives us time to weigh and measure what the potential therapeutic value of this, to wait for studies to come out before we make any additional decisions on what we're doing. Wow.
Representative Alessandra Murphy, Democrat, meanwhile, said that the testimony at the panel's last hearing made clear that not only is this not really a dangerous drug, but it also has medical benefits that people are unable to take advantage of currently because of the classification under the Controlled Drugs Act. While entirely removing it might be too big a step for this legislature to take right now, Murray continued, I think that it is a good compromise to start with, and hopefully people will be able to treat their conditions if they need to and not face any felony for doing so. Despite the unanimous vote to advance the measure, Vice Chair Representative Jennifer Rhodes, Republican, said she was hesitant to endorse the proposal too broadly. I have to say for the record that all this conversation about being medicine, that's almost makes me want to say no, Rhodes said. I am not a doctor. I don't know any of us in here are. If we're doing this because we're taking away the penalty, that's one thing, but we're doing it because we're trying to say that we're making it be medicine. That part I'm not okay with. Again, she just needs more research. At the end, and at the hearing last month, one committee member asked sponsor Verville why he chose to focus the bill only on psilocybin rather than put forward legislation to more broadly legalize the therapeutic use of multiple psychedelics, as the lawmaker has done in the past. Burrell said at the time that he's smart enough to know that pushing a broader reform is a big bite, and I get a lot of feedback from people that were sympathetic but didn't vote in favor. And so what I've done this year is I've rolled back this only to psilocybin. So again, he's taking smaller chunks of the pie at a time. One step forward, right? I dream of a day when we have medical psychedelics available. I dream of that day, he says. There are demonstrated medical benefits with depression, post-traumatic stress syndrome, interestingly enough, addiction. So psychedelics can be used to cure addiction at a very high rate. This bill, however, is a discussion and the beginning of a debate that we really need to start having in an honest, forthright manner. And I would agree.
Yeah, right. Yep. Reached on Friday for Bill to a marijuana moment. He's very pleased and very proud of the committee for passing this common sense legislation to stop breaking felons out of users of psilocybin. HB 528 next proceeds to the House floor, where it's been put on the consent calendar. Separately, the House Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee gave its approval to two cannabis-related bills earlier this week, and there's a quickie linky. One HB 198 from Representative Jared Sullivan, Democrat, would take a simple, unregulated approach to marijuana. This is marijuana now and not the psilocybin. Is approve what measure would allow adults 21 and older to possess 2 ounces of flower, 10 grams of concentrate, and up to 2,000 milligrams of THC and other cannabis products. Retail sales of marijuana products, along with home cultivation, would remain illegal under the plan. Consuming marijuana on public land will also be prohibited. Another bill, HB 190 from Representative Howard, Democrat, would increase the possession limit of medical marijuana by patients and caregivers, raising it to 4 ounces from current to 2 existing 10-day patient purchase limits would also increase from 2 ounces up to 4. And at least the full House of Representatives have passed a simple bill to legal marijuana for adults and also improved measures that would annul certain criminal records around cannabis and allow medical marijuana patients to grow the plant at home. The legalization measure about law, so from Verville, would remove state penalties around cannabis-related conduct for 21 so older, but it would not establish a licensed commercial market broader regulatory scheme. Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting, eh? At least they're pushing forward with one psychedelic at a time. And, if they get this through and it's beneficial, maybe they'll be more open to the next one.
Right. This continues more about the marijuana thing than the psychedelics. So,
yeah.
Do you want to continue reading, or do you want to go on to the next article?
I thought that was it. That's where it ended in mine.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Maybe I didn't go far enough.
No, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it started another article on me. I don't know. But I do know that people are skeptical. We're still in that world where they tried to cure opiates with an opiate, heroin with a manufactured synthetic drug. People don't want, like a lot of these programs of change depend on full abstinence. So to bring in another drug, I mean, and you saw it when you brought it out with cannabis, and some states are even rolling back now on how much you can possess or grow, and while other states are flourishing. And it's like there needs to be a normal, man. You can't just keep moving to another state because of its laws.
Yeah, there should be some sort of universal across the board understanding worldwide, right? Again, as a patient, I should be able to go on vacation anywhere in the world and obtain my microdoses or whatever it is that I need as a patient.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I'm waiting on this article here. My computer froze.
Oh.
You have the next one. Do you want to start reading it before I bring it up? It's the psychedelic.
Sure, I can do that. Absolutely. Yeah. So our next article comes from tipranks.com, and the headline is Psychedelic MindMed reports Q4 earnings results. And this was written March 6th, and I don't see an author. In this week's Psychedelic, the Fly's reoccurring series focused on psychedelic stock news, The Fly looks back on earnings, a study approved, and enrollment completion. MindMed reports Q4 earnings, and we've reported on MindMeds before. They're doing lots of interesting psychedelic studies. On Thursday, MindMed reported a fourth quarter loss per share, which compared to analysis estimates of loss per share of 28C, whatever that means. I'm not a stock person. As of December 31 or 31st, MindMed had cash and cash equivalents totaling $273.7 million compared to $99.7 million as of December 31st of 2023. So it looks like they increased significantly at that time. The company believes that its cash and cash equivalents will be sufficient to fund operations into 2027. 2024 was a year of significant progress for MindMed. We successfully achieved several key milestones that have built momentum for multiple clinical readouts from our MM120 ODT Phase 3 development program, which are expected to drive our next phase of growth, said Rob Barrow, CEO. The positive data from our MM120 Phase 2B study in generalized anxiety disorder helped secure breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA and led to the expansion of our pipeline into major depressive disorder. In 2025, we are focused on enrolling our Phase 3 GAD and MDD studies, as well as regulatory and pre-commercialization activities to support the development of MM120 ODT. We are well positioned to deliver transformational innovation that has the potential to refine treatment for the over 50 million people living with anxiety and depression. Mira announced trial approval for Ketamir 2. Mira Pharmaceuticals announced Tuesday the approval of upcoming initiation of its Phase 1 clinical trial for Ketamir 2, the company's novel oral ketamine analog development for neuropathic pain, with subject recruitment scheduled to begin in Q1. The study has received final authorization from the Israeli Ministry of Health and its Institutional Review Board and will be conducted at the Clinical Pharmacology Unit Hadassah Medical Center in Jerusalem, Israel. This Phase 1 randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, single-center study is designed to evaluate the safety, tolerability, and pharmacokinetics of oral administration of Ketamir 2 in healthy adult volunteers. The trial consists of two parts, a single ascending dose part, which is 32 participants, and the multiple ascending dose part, which is 24 participants. In addition to assessing the frequency and severity of adverse events and serious adverse events, the study will closely evaluate ketamine-related behavioral side effects and assess Ketamir 2 distinct pharmacological profile. The decision to conduct the study in Israel was made to accelerate timelines and optimize cost, allowing Mira to efficiently allocate resources and extend its operational runway. The company expects Phase 1 to conclude by Q4, paving the way for a Phase 2A study in neuropathic pain patients to be initiated by the end of the year. Wow.
Right. The neuropathic pain market continues to grow, yet current treatments leave millions of patients without adequate relief, said Erez Aminov, CEO. Ketamir 2 has demonstrated remarkable potential in reversing neuropathic pain while maintaining a strong safety profile. With this Phase 1 trial now set to begin, we are moving closer to bringing a much-needed oral treatment to patients suffering from chronic neuropathic pain. TAI reports enrollment completion in VPL-003 trial. ATAI Life Sciences announced Wednesday the completion of patient enrollment in an 8-week double-blind core stage of the global Phase 2B clinical trial evaluating BPL-003 in patients with treatment-resistant depression. BPL-003 is Becky Cytek's patent-protected proprietary transdermal formulation of menbufotenin benzoate, administered via a nasal spray device used in previously approved drug products. BPL-003 is designed to deliver rapid and durable effects from a single dose with a short time in clinic. Top-line results from the core stage of the phase 2B clinic trial are expected in mid-2025. We are impressed by the Becky SciTech team's execution of pause on me. This is embarrassing. Can you continue for me?
Yeah, where are we at here?
We are impressed by the Beckley.
Okay, by the Beckley Psych team's execution of the phase 2B clinical trial of BPL-003 in patients with treatment-resistant depression, which is the largest controlled trial of mebufotenin and the first and only phase 2B clinical trial to investigate mebufotenin in the U.S., stated Srinivas Rao, CEO. The promising data from earlier clinical studies of BPL-003 have demonstrated that a single dose can induce rapid, significant, and lasting antidepressant effects, further reinforcing our confidence in its potential to revolutionize treatment for difficult-to-treat depression. We are looking forward to the top-line results from the 8-week core stage of phase 2B clinical trial of BPL-003, which remains on track for mid-2025. The 8-week quadruple masked dose finding core stage of a phase 2 clinical trial is evaluating the efficacy and safety of a single medium or high dose of BPL-003 against a subperceptual dose. The trial enrolled 196 patients with moderate to severe depression that had failed to respond to at least 2 or more prior treatments in the current episode of depression across 38 sites in 6 countries. Patients are followed for 8 weeks, and the efficacy is assessed at various time points by centralizing blinded raters using Montgomery-Åsberg's depression rating scale. Are you still froze there?
Yeah, I'm froze. It's not waiting for it to get.
Yeah. Analysts reiterate buy on Compass. On Tuesday, H.C. Wainwright said Compass Pathways is one of the most compelling stories in neuropsychiatry, and that Comp 360 differentiates profile positions as a transformative treatment in treatment-resistant depression. The firm believes the current valuation fails to reflect the full scope of its opportunities across multiple market psychiatric disorders, with Comp 360 on track to become a blockbuster treatment if approved. The firm reiterated a buy rating of and $45 price target on the shares. Additionally, on Friday, Canaccord lowered the firm's price target on Compass Pathways to 15 from 23 and kept a buying rating on the shares. The firm said the key update was the company is on track to report top-line 6-week data from its Comp 005 phase 3 trial for Comp 360 for treatment-resistant depression in 2025. The trial is roughly 90% enrolled, and they believe the company has potential to generate significant upside. Pharmala ships to Lane MMD to UCLA. Oh, interesting. So Ala Biotech announced Monday that it had completed its shipment of Laniro MDMA to UCLA, which is being used for a clinical trial investigating schizophrenia. We are pleased to have delivered our clinical trial materials to Dr. Bouchard and Dr. Marder. Unfortunately, the past 2 years since signing of our contract have highlighted some of the exceptional difficulties in running a clinical trial exploring a novel indication with a controlled substance, from addressing ethical committee comments and FDA data requests to waiting for the Research Advisory Panel of California to approve the trial, said Nick Kadash, CEO. I know that the UCLA team has had to work mightily to kick off this trial, and we've been glad to do our small part. We're confident that their work will add significantly to the body of scientific evidence around MDMA, and we will be in close coordination to support them if needed. And then there's just other psychedelic stocks listed there that you can look into.
Oh, man. What a great article. I mean, I like the money part of it because it shows hope. The clinical trials, everybody's doing so much good stuff right now.
Yeah, there's lots of research happening, right? On all sorts of different psychedelics.
All sorts. Well, this comes to my favorite part of the show. It's medication time.
That's right, folks. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles Bufo has chosen making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network. Let's press this right here.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at NOKNetwork.com.
Discover the treasure trove of flavors at Miss Jolly's Munchie Factory. Satisfy your cravings with our award-winning treats. Follow us on Instagram at Captain Rogers 705. Let Miss Jolly's Munchie Factory lift your spirits. Experience the comforting embrace of our freshly prepared soups and infused cornbread.
Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year. Movie nights, spotlights on entertainment, and live on location coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Facebook. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke signals. Tyan
Go and
Danaga.
hold it in, feel it in your wrist.
Smoke signals. Tyan Danaga.
Check us out in Tyndonega. 55 Highway 49 in Tyndonega. It's on the res. And we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Tune in daily to NOK Network's diverse podcasting lineup. Ganja News Update, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Tara Simpson and Ron McNabb. Waking Up with the Wayniac, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with Tombstoner Wayne Cruz from Tombstone, Arizona. Grow 420, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern with Ron McNabb. Psychedelic Reporters, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Hobbies Puppets and Tara Simpson. Peace, News and Views, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Sir Steve-O and Kim Cooper. Thursdays we have Open Your Eye with Kim Cooper and Tara Simpson, 8 p.m. Eastern. Followed by Thursday Night Vibes at 9:15 p.m. Eastern with Master and Mama Rochi. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh airs 7 nights a week with our rotating joint hosts, nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in to all the podcasting on NOK Network.
Do that. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live on Psychedelic Reporters here on NOK Network.
And we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. So my computer's restarted, and if you can start us out again.
Absolutely. So this next article comes to us from psychpost.org. Psilocybin's impact on mental well-being varies by race, study finds. And this was written by Eric Dolan on March 9th of this year. A new study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders has revealed that the potential benefits of using psilocybin, a naturally occurring psychedelic substance found in certain mushrooms, may not be experienced equally across all races and ethnic groups. Researchers discovered that while both white individuals and people of color experienced improvements in mental health after using psilocybin in natural settings, some of these positive changes, particularly in spiritual well-being and mental flexibility, appeared less pronounced and enduring for people of color. Psilocybin is a naturally occurring psychedelic found in over 200 species of mushrooms, often referred to as magic mushrooms. It is known for its ability to alter perception, mood, and thought processing, lead to experiences that can range from profound spiritual insight to intense emotional shifts. Historically, various cultures have used psilocybin-containing mushrooms in rituals and healing practices. In recent years, scientific interest in psilocybin has surged due to its potential therapeutic application for mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, and addiction. The motivation behind this particular study stems from a recognized gap in current psychedelic research. While studies have shown promising mental health benefits of psilocybin, the vast majority of participants in these studies have been white individuals. This lack of diversity raises concerns about whether the findings are broadly applicable to all populations. The researchers wanted to investigate if the effects of psilocybin, especially in natural, non-clinical settings where most people use it, might differ from people of color compared to white individuals. To conduct their study, researchers employed a longitudinal survey design, meaning they followed the same group of individuals over a period of time, collecting data at multiple points. The study timeline consists of 6 distinct phases. Initially, a large group of over 8,000 individuals provided informed consent to participate, time 1. From this initial group, a subset of nearly 3,000 participants completed a baseline survey 2 to 3 weeks before their planned psilocybin experience. So the initial survey served as the starting point for tracking changes in mental health measures over time. Just a day before their psilocybin experience, time 3, around 1,800 participants completed another survey to capture their mindset and intentions leading into the experience. Data collection continued shortly after the psilocybin use, with approximately 1,500 participants completing a survey 1 to 3 days post-experience to assess immediate subjective effects and the setting of the experience. Follow-up surveys were then administered at 2 later time points, 2 to 4 weeks post-experience, with around 1,200 participants, and 2 to 3 months post-experience, around 650 participants. These later surveys aim to understand the longer-term impacts of psilocybin use on mental health and well-being.
Oh, yeah. Let me bring that back across at these points. Participants completed questionnaire measuring depression, anxiety, spiritual well-being, emotion regulation, and mental flexibility. The researchers then analyzed this data to compare the changes in these measures between white participants and participants of color across the different time frames, focusing particularly on whether the line effects of psilocybin is different between these groups over time. The study's findings revealed that while both white participants and participants of color experienced some positive changes in using psilocybin, the nature and duration of these changes varied. Oh crap, it just went too far.
They vary. Both groups showed similar reductions in depression and anxiety symptoms throughout the study period. However, when looking at spiritual well-being and mental flexibility, the researchers observed a divergence over time. Initially at time 5, 2 to 4 weeks post-experience, both groups showed improvement in spiritual and mental flexibility. However, by time 6, 2 to 3 months post-experience, the sustained improvements in spiritual well-being were less pronounced for participants of color, and the increased mental flexibility was no longer statistically significant for this group, unlike for white participants who maintained these benefits. Are you crashing again?
Yeah.
That's okay. Furthermore, the study found that white participants experienced a reduction in expressive suppression, a measure of emotional regulation, after psilocybin use, particularly at the later time points, time 5 and time 6, while participants of color did not exhibit this change. In terms of subjective experience, participants of color were more likely to set intention before their psilocybin experience and reported a greater sense of time speeding up during the experience and slightly stronger mystical experiences, primarily assessed at time 4, shortly after the psilocybin use. These findings suggest that while psilocybin may offer some mental health benefits across racial groups, there might be differences in the persistence and nature of these benefits, particularly in areas of spiritual well-being, mental flexibility, and emotional expressiveness, highlighting the complex interplay of race and ethnicity with psychedelic experiences and outcomes over time. This study has limitations, including the reliance on self-reported online survey data, which could not independently verified. The participants were self-selected, meaning they may not represent the broader population of psilocybin users, and their responses may be influenced by biases. Additionally, the relatively small number of participants of color in the study limits the statistical power and the ability to explore differences within diverse racial and ethnic groups. While increasing recreational psychedelic use and growing interest in the development of psychedelic therapies for mental health care, more data will be needed to inform the differential effects of psychedelics in individuals from diverse backgrounds and how their use as mental health interventions may be optimized in culturally appropriate ways. The researchers concluded, in particularly, it will be critical to increase our understanding of how public perception around psychedelics and socio-cultural factors such as health and criminal justice disparities may influence psychedelics utility and outcomes both in naturalistic and clinical settings. Ultimately, this can lead us to a more balanced and effective public notice policies and clinical implementation strategies to benefit people of color equitably and maximally reduce public health risks associated with psychedelic use. The study examining differences in the effects and context of natural psilocybin use for white participants versus participants of color, a longitudinal online survey study, was authored by Grant Jones, Matthew Lowe, Sandeep Nayak, Nathan Sabedita, Hannes Kettner, Robin Carhart-Harris, Heather Jackson, and Albert Garcia Romeo.
Oh, man. That was a great article, man. I wish I could have read some of that.
I know. You're having tech issues today, Hobbies. It is what it is.
Right. Can we let's get on to the next post, which would be the WJBF.
Okay. So, WJBF.com, Psychedelic Science 2025 announces select speakers for the leading conference on psychedelic research, policy, and thought leadership. And that was written March 7th. And so, Psychedelic Science, the premier global gathering for psychedelic research, medicine, policy, and culture, hosted by the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, also known as MAPS, announced its initial lineup of speakers for the highly anticipated biannual conference, with hundreds of additional speakers and conference sessions still to be announced. Researchers, students, clinicians, advocates, therapists, political leaders, entrepreneurs, executives, investors, cultural leaders, and psychedelic enthusiasts will come together in Denver, Colorado, June 16th through 20th of 2025. Scientific research and policy discussions around psychedelics have advanced in recent years, creating opportunities and challenges for their integration into mainstream medicine, mental health care, and public policy. With a growing body of evidence supporting the potential benefits of psychedelics, governments and institutions are exploring regulatory framework, public health initiatives, and ethical considerations. The conference will provide a platform for experts to discuss and for the community to shape the next steps in translating research into practice. Psychedelic Science 2025, the integration, will be a threshold moment for the field, featuring panels, workshops, and community partners exploring the integration of psychedelic-assisted therapies into modern medicine, the evolution of public perception into policy, and the expansion of community healing initiatives within state-regulated systems. Attendees will also experience an exhibit hall, interactive installations, films, culture, pre-conference workshops that will bring the latest developments in psychedelic science to life. Psychedelic Science 2025 is more than a conference. It's an integration point where the field's greatest minds, diverse communities, and powerful moments come together to shape the next era of mental health, medicine, and consciousness. With Oregon surpassing 10,000 legal psychedelic-assisted treatment sessions and Colorado pioneering new regulatory models, PS 2025 will provide a blueprint for bringing these life-changing treatments to scale safely, ethically, and equitably. Rick Doblin, PhD, founder and president of MAPS.
Psychedelic Science 2025 will feature 2 days of workshops and 3 days of conference programming, and both have clicky linkies covering a wide range of topics, from groundbreaking clinical research and policy discussion to cultural, artistic, and philosophical exploration. Attendees will explore themes of indigenous wisdom, personal transformation, and intersection of psychedelics with music, film, and art. In addition to the panels and workshops, PS 2025 will feature an exhibit hall, interactive installations, film screenings, and more, deepening engagement across disciplines and communities. PS 2025 will feature keynote and plenary sessions from Tim Ryan, former United States Congressman, Ohio President and CEO of Celtic Counseling. Kristen Sinema, which is former United States Senator, Arizona, known for her work on mental health and veterans issues. Bessel van der Kolk, renowned psychiatrist and trauma expert, author of the best-selling book, The Body Keeps Score. Robin Carhart Harris, University of California, San Francisco. Ralph Metzer, distinguished professor in the Department of Neurology. Paul Stamets. Famed mycologist and pioneer in psychedelic mushroom research. Pilar Guzman, additional director of Oprah Daily. You want to read the other one?
Yeah, Rick Doblin, Ismail Ali, and Betty Aldworth, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, also known as MAP, Executive Leadership. The initial announcement of more than 100 PS 2025 speakers includes Manish Agrawal, founder and CEO of Sunstone Therapies, former co-director of clinical research at Maryland Oncology Hematology, Gabrielle Agnin-Labeas, Yale researcher examining long-term effects of psilocybin on well-being, Angela Albee, Oregon psilocybin service sector manager at Oregon Health Authority, Dralulio Arujo, Federal University of Rio Grande do Norte, neuroscientist studying the effects of ayahuasca on mental health. Anthony Bach, University of Washington, oncologist, palliative care specialist, and professor. Victor Cabral, therapist and advocate for psychedelic healing in marginalized communities. Jazz Kadoch, co-steward at the Global Psychedelic Society. Amber Capone, co-founder of VETS, advocating for psychedelic-assisted therapy for veterans. We have Sam Chapman, leading strategist, psychedelic policy and legislative change. Oh, he's leading that. Doug Drysdale, CEO of Sibin Inc., Harriet DeWitt, University of Chicago professor of psychiatry and behavioral neuroscience, Amy Emerson, founder and former CEO of Lykos Therapeutics, Giselle Fernandez Osterhold, University of California, San Francisco, Director of Psychedelic Facilitation for Transitional Research Psychedelic Program, Dan Grossman, former BCG Healthcare Managing Director, Head of Field Building at Psychedelic Science Funders Collaborate, Jesse Gould, founder and president at Heroic Hearts Project, Natalie Gaxiaman, Columbia University Irving Medical Center assistant professor of psychiatry. Oh, wow, this list is huge.
Right, 100 speakers.
Wow. I don't know if we should just read them all or whether everyone should just read along on their own. We're ticking away on time
we
here.
can do that because we got one more article I want to squeeze in.
Yeah,
so go to the conference and the linkies, the psychedelicscience.org for more information on hotel booking, sponsorship, and exhibitor opportunities.
Yeah. That's a huge, huge list of a lot of very professionally recognized people. That's going to be an incredible conference.
It will be. It will be. Man, so excited! I would like to go to that. That would be one of those things that would be fun. Can you start us out on the ayahuasca one?
Absolutely. So our last article, while we're waiting for Hobby's computer to cooperate, it comes to us from psychpost.org. Ayahuasca may enhance memory recollection in experienced users. Ayahuasca, a traditional Amazon brew known for its psychedelic effects, appears to enhance certain aspects of memory, according to a recent study in the Journal of Psychopharmacology, when experienced users took the brew before viewing a series of scenes, their memory for those scenes improved, particularly in their ability to vividly recall specific details. This memory boost was selective as it did not increase false memories or their general feeling or familiarity with the scenes. Ayahuasca is a psychoactive brew originating from the Amazon region. It is traditionally made using two plants, the Psychoritra viridis and Bannisterpertus caapi. So the VP contains a compound called dimethyltryptamine, which is DMT, which produces strong psychedelic effects, and the BC contains beta carbolines, which are necessary for ayahuasca's psychoactive properties. These beta carbolines inhibit the enzyme that would otherwise break down DMT in the stomach, allowing it to reach the brain and take effect. Ayahuasca is used in ceremonies by several religious groups and is known for its ability to alter perception, mood, and thought processes similar to other psychedelics. Previous studies on psychedelics have shown a specific pattern of memory effects. These studies suggest that psychedelics tend to weaken the detailed, vivid recall of events, known as recollection, while leaving intact or enhancing the more general feeling of knowing something called familiarity. This pattern contrasts with how other substances like alcohol or ketamine impair both recollection and familiarity.
The researchers wanted to see whether ayahuasca would produce the same effect on recollection and familiarity. They were also interested in whether ayahuasca might influence false memories for things that did not actually happen, since psychedelics can alter perception and increase suggestibility. They hypothesized that ayahuasca might impair recollection enhance familiarity, and increase susceptibility to false memories. We previously found that psychedelics impair the formation of hippocampal dependent recollection, memory for details such as where and when an event took place, while sparing or even enhancing the formation of memories based on cortical dependent familiarity, knowing that something has recently been experienced without necessarily recalling specific details, said to study author Magnaj Das, a research fellow at the University of Texas at Austin Dell Medical School in the Gill Centers for Psychedelic Research and Therapy in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavior Sciences. This was rather a unique effect of psychedelics, as most other drugs, alcohol, ketamine, THC, tend to impair the formation of both types of memory. We were hoping to replicate this effect with another psychedelic, ayahuasca, DMT, moreover, in contrast to how memories are formed. When one retrieves the previously formed memory under the effects of most psychoactive drugs. Oh, wow, I jumped again on me. Can you?
To examine ayahuasca's effect on memory, the researchers conducted a study with 24 members of the Santo Daime Church, a religious group that uses ayahuasca as part of its ceremonies. These participants were highly experienced, having consumed ayahuasca hundreds of times over many years. The study took place over 2 sessions. In one session, participants were sober, serving as a baseline, and in the other session, they consumed ayahuasca in a ceremonial setting. The researchers did not provide the ayahuasca. Instead, participants consumed their usual dose prepared by their church. However, the researchers analyzed a sample of the brew and determined the concentration of DMT and beta carbolines. During both the sober and ayahuasca sessions, participants completed a memory task designed to test different aspects of memory, including their ability to recall details and their susceptibility to false memories. The task involved 3 phases: encoding, misinformation, and retrieval.
In the encoding phase, participants viewed 6 different black and white scenes, such as a classroom or a beach, for 40 seconds each. They were asked to pay close attention to the details because their memory would be tested later. After viewing each scene, they rated how familiar it felt to them. After encoding, participants completely a short... Oh, crap. Damn it. Here we are. Unrelated puzzle task before moving on to the misinformation phase. Here they read descriptions of the scenes they had just viewed. These descriptions, presented as if written by other people, contained both accurate and misleading details. For example, a description of a beach scene might completely mention a towel that was the image, but possibly suggest that there was a beach umbrella. Participants were told that some of the descriptions might contain errors. When another puzzle task, participants moved to the retrieval phase, where their memory was tested. For each scene, they were shown a series of objects and asked whether the object had been present. Some objects had been in the scene targets, some had been present, but also mentioned in the misleading description suggested targets. Others were not present but were falsely suggested in description suggested lures. Some were conceptually related to objects in the scene, but were not actually there related lures. Lastly, some objects were entirely unrelated lures. For each object, participants answered yes or no, and then rated their confidence in their answer. Wow.
Yeah. Doss and his colleagues analyzed the participants' responses to see how ayahuasca affected their memory. They measured how often participants correctly identified objects that were actually in the scenes, hit rates, and how effectively or how often they falsely recognized objects that were not there, so false alarm rates. They also assessed meta-memory, or a person's awareness of their own memory accuracy. The results were unexpected. Instead of impairing the memory, ayahuasca enhanced it. Participants were better at correctly identifying objects that had been actually seen, particularly in measure of recollection. We surprisingly found that ayahuasca enhances the formation of recollections with no impact on familiarity or false memories, Dose told Psych Post. However, there may have been a few reasons for this. One, this study was an observational study of members of the Santo Daime community, most of whom had taken ayahuasca hundreds of times. Thus, psychedelics may differential impact on such experienced individuals. Another important caveat is that when the ayahuasca sample was analyzed, it turned out that the amount of DMT was extremely low, but the dose of beta carbolines, that's what allows the DMT to be orally activated, were substantial. Other drugs that increase synaptic monoamines can enhance the formation of the hippocampal dependent memories. We also speculate that the beta carbolines may have contributed to the enhanced recollection.
Interestingly, ayahuasca did not increase the participants' general feeling of familiarity with the scene, nor did it make them more prone to false memory. Participants were no more likely to mistakenly recall objects that were not there, even when those objects were suggested in the misleading description. Ayahuasca also did not alter their awareness of their own memory accuracy. In addition to the surprising enhancement of recollection, participants appeared to have relatively high levels of familiar both on and off ayahuasca compared to my past work. Josh noted, although it's hard to compare to past studies that used different tests, it's possible that repeatedly driving cortical plasticity with psychedelics over several years could lead to long-lasting enhancements of familiarity-based memory. However, heightened familiarity isn't necessarily a good thing. It can sometimes lead to cognitive illusions, such as deja vu or illusionary insight, and in some cases, false memory. The researchers acknowledged some limitations. Since this was an observational study, they could not rule out the possibility that the memory enhancement was due to the factors other than ayahuasca, such as practice effects. However, they argue the practice effects alone are unlikely to fully explain the findings, as the improvements were substantially specific to recollection. Other aspects of memory, such as false memory and stability and meta-memory, did not improve across the two sessions. Future research could use controlled designs, including placebo groups and less experienced ayahuasca users, to confirm these findings. Further studies could explore the specific roles of DMT and beta carbolines in memory, potentially uncovering ways to harness ayahuasca's memory-enhancing properties while minimizing any drawbacks. Wow.
Many psychoactive drugs produce global cognitive impairments, including psychedelics, Doss explained. Using more granular measures of cognition, we are hoping to find cognitive processes uniquely enhanced by psychedelics, which could have implications on how to better use these drugs in therapy, as well as other indications such as purported tools for facilitating creativity. if beta-carbolines can truly enhance the information of the hippocampal dependent memory, then in addition to potentiating the effects of psychedelics, they can also be administered with psilocybin to prolong or heighten psychedelic effects. They may also offset some of the recollection impairments produced by psychedelics, and thereby better allowing one to remember specific details from their psychedelic experiences, such as insights. And the study, ayahuasca enhances the formation of the hippocampal dependent episodic memory without impacting false memory susceptibility in an experienced ayahuasca user. An observational study was authored by Manjo Das, Lillian Clough, Natasha Mason, Pablo Malorani, Johannes Rekweg, Kim Van Uzuwa, Nina Tupper, Henry Otgar, and Johannes Ramakeppers. I hope I said all those names right.
I hope you did too. And I screw up names as well, but I mean, we get the gist of it. And if you want, you can go back and read that article. It was a great one. And there's the cookie link to the research. I mean,
yeah, very interesting, eh? That I could see becoming maybe even possibly a treatment for some Alzheimer's symptoms or something later on down the line. That's interesting that it helps with the actual regular recall of memories, right?
Yeah, that's so awesome, man. There's a lot of great articles today, and that brings us to us parting. And thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and to YouTube pages, as well as still other social media sites.
That's right, folks. We really hope you've enjoyed your update today of mainstream media coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint host, Tara Simpson, and to Buffalo Varian for choosing the stories, and to you, our listeners, for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way up. Good night.
Bye.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of